I call this workshop to order. This is a workshop of the Crescent Commission regarding minimum maintenance standards. And Derek, do you want to get us started?
Sure. Do we do
Not for the workshop.
on workshops as well?
No. If you guys want to, we can do an invocation and a pledge right now. We have it on the agenda for this special meeting, but this is first, so we can do it here, not do the special meeting. So, Commissioner Moore, if you would give us an invocation, if you would. Stand if you're able.
Let's bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, once again, we want to thank you for our rising of today. We thank you for your grace and for your mercy. We also want to thank you for waking us up this morning to a brand new day. We thank you for how you watched over us all night long and kept us from all hurt, harm, and danger, seen and unseen dangers. We want to give you thanks for that on today. We ask today that you continuously be with us. We thank you for our gathering on today. Help us to do those things that will be pleasing in thy sight. Help us to be honest and understanding and do those things that will help everyone. And Father God, looking for this meeting on today, have it be a success. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, Derek, take it away.
Thank you very much.
Do we need to do a roll call? Sorry. Roll, Pam, if you could.
Commissioner Burton? Here. Commissioner Moore?
Here.
Commissioner Davila?
Present.
Vice Mayor, William Ward?
Present.
And Mayor Myers is excused absence. City Manager Derek Martin?
I'm here, thank you.
Assistant City Manager, CRA Manager Bonnie Loveday?
Here.
No attorney present. Finance Director is not here. I'm Pamela Taylor, Code Enforcement Officer and Interim Reporting Clerk.
Thank you, Pam. So now Derek, take it away.
Thank you so much,
You're welcome.
Vice Mayor Lori. So today I appreciate everyone being here on this meeting, this workshop. I know you're taking time out of your personal lives for this. I appreciate it, staff and the residents appreciate it as well. So today in front of you, you do not have a briefing sheet. I kept that for myself as meeting notes. I think you all have gone through this a few times. Some of you may or may not have been part of previous workshops on this. This dates back to 2022, and I believe even before that. What you have in front of you, however, are the latest and greatest of what had transpired and came out of those workshops. And Commissioner DeVito?
No, actually, I looked it up. The version that we have is January 25th, is that right?
2023.
Wait a minute.
And that was on the minutes you gave us, that was the last meeting.
Right,
It was
but
January
I
2023.
think what is in our agenda packet, I think was after the, I don't know, I think there was a transmittal memo, here it is, from Charles Rudd on January 5th, 2023. There was another workshop after that because we had met on September 20th, 2022, October 5th, 2022. We had apparently skipped a couple of items.
Yes.
So there are minutes from January 31st, and as well, any changes are not in the minutes, but at some point after January 25th, I think the attorney Bobby Pickens asked if he could make some changes with respect to the right of entry. And the minutes, the first reading was initially on the agenda for the April regular meeting. I believe it was April 13th, 2023. And we tabled it at that meeting, and there were a reference to some changes, but I don't know what they were.
Okay.
So there are, I would say these would be the bulk of
Yes.
the workshops, but they wouldn't include the January 31st workshop or whatever it was that the city attorney wanted to
So,
do.
so I had discussions about that on the history. We're gonna pick up at that point with the documentation we have in front of us. There are some areas highlighted in blue that were skipped over that we can discuss. But I think the biggest thing for this commission at this point in time for us and staff is to focus on making sure that we understand that we have limited staffing and enforcement capacity. With that being said, we need to make sure that we are exterior focused and making sure that those standards are put in to make it easier for us to enforce them from a public right of way. There are multiple areas in here, and I can go through them as we go through this document. Of course, I have notes on each section, but as we move forward into section, I believe it's gonna be section 4 through 7 that we need to eliminate out of here, because anything that has to do with interior scope needs to be taken out. The fire marshal already has what they need for standards in regard to entering premises and things of that nature, but we can go through it. What I'd like to do is, if we can, everybody has this in their packet, we could go through each section. What's highlighted in yellow was updated. You have that?
I can get them right now.
Okay. And we can just go page by page. There's a few things in here that we need to definitely discuss, especially when it comes, there's language specifically about a code enforcement board, which we don't have one currently,
Right.
but we should leave the language in because we could have something in for the future, but we also need to make sure that we have code official or code enforcement official, or even building official, which I believe there's some language to that later.
And Mr. Vice Mayor,
No, go ahead. This is a workshop. We're not going to be as formal.
well, I just don't want to be talking
No,
over
please,
everybody
go
else.
ahead.
Okay, so I just want to point out, I don't know whether Commissioner Moore or
No, neither she or I were on the
Commissioner
commission.
Lloyd, I know you weren't on the commission, I don't know whether they've been
There, yeah.
dug deeply enough to listen on video to workshops way back then. I don't think a lot of people were listening. So they would not have seen this at all. And it's a pretty heavy lift. I certainly don't remember all of it because we didn't really get this till yesterday, right? But I mean, two of us were not here.
Okay.
And so it's, and just to keep in mind, although we covered all the interior topics, and that was a huge bone of contention with the public.
Right.
The interior, and that was something that Attorney Bobby Pickens spoke to because these are international minimum maintenance standards.
Correct.
For countries that don't have due process and bill of rights and requiring warrants and stuff like that.
Right.
So he, and it particularly did not seem to be very acceptable to residents and property owners in Crescent City. And Commissioner Pickens spoke to that part. So, but we did spend, I guess if you take out a whole bunch of sections, we have less to do. We probably spent a total of 5 hours when we first started with this, so.
Looking through this now, though, it looks like we scratched out the international building code, the international building, we're not using that.
Right, we
We're
use
just using Florida code.
Florida building
So
code.
let's move forward.
Thank you.
Okay, let's not keep going back.
I agree. And I believe that if you all take a look at chapter 4, which is light, ventilation, occupation, or occupancy limitations, that really we should strike out.
Yes.
Chapter 5 is plumbing facilities and fixture requirements. That should also be struck out. Chapter 6 is mechanical and electrical requirements. That should be struck out. And of course, chapter 7 is fire safety requirements. That should be struck out. And maybe we keep chapter 7, but we say that it needs to adhere to Florida building code and fire code as well as NFPA guidelines,
Right.
and be done with it for that section. That takes all of that out. And then we really go back to the beginning chapters, which had already been in discussion, and make sure that we tighten it up on the areas that were already talked about or looked at. if you go over to structural analysis, if you go over to 1027, historic buildings, it reads, the provisions of the code shall not be mandatory for existing buildings or structures designated as historic buildings where such buildings or structures are judged by a code official to be safe in the public interest of health. Code official, we should also have on there Putnam County building official, and maybe add where that's in tandem with the Putnam County building official. That's recommendation from staff, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Can we slow down a minute here? So for historic buildings, that's been a concern of mine for a while. Because obviously, and this is a good provision, but it just dawned on me that there's something missing here. One of our issues is blighted and deteriorating buildings.
Mhm.
So it's good that it says the provisions of this code shall not be mandatory for existing buildings or structures designated as historic, as long as they're safe and in the public interest of health, safety, and welfare. And maybe we need to coordinate this with the historic preservation ordinance that I understand has been drafted and is coming before us. The main reason you get a deteriorating historic building is that the building envelope is not secure. And I think our current code requires a good roof. I think that code enforcement, am I correct about that you have to have a roof in working order in our current code?
No, I don't do anything like that. We have a property maintenance ordinance. You could include that in.
Okay, because it was my understanding that people have been cited for having roofs that are not secure or that have
have holes in them.
holes in them.
I have not cited anybody for that.
I must be dreaming then.
I could have sworn we had some too, that had tarps on them that had, is it from a blight standpoint, Pam, that you could put a code enforcement lien or some other item on a property if there was, if the property was damaged in a way that wasn't being fixed and was an eyesore, such as a hole in the roof, like a tree going through the roof?
We have a chapter 10, section 10-21 that says you have to maintain your property. If you
Okay.
consider having a hole in your roof, not maintaining your property, then yes, you could cite somebody for that.
Okay,
But we don't have anything
Specific
specific
for a
that
roof.
says
okay,
you have to maintain your roof.
okay.
Okay, so thank you, that's helpful, because I could have sworn somebody had been cited somewhere for a roof that was not doing the job. If we don't have any provisions that require historic buildings to at least maintain the envelope, then we are not going to be addressing those blight issues.
So are you saying that we shouldn't be giving a blanket exemption to historic buildings?
Well, I'm saying this is fine.
This does, I mean, this
But-
pretty much exempts them.
I believe as we move through this though, you're gonna see other provisions that would probably fall into that. I mean, if you go to section 110-1-1 under unsafe structures, and we're talking exterior, it says an unsafe structure is one that's found to be dangerous to life, health, property, or safety of the public or occupants of the structure. If the roof is blown off, that's unsafe.
But it's not blown off.
Or damaged in a way that's causing intrusion.
But, right, but that's a little bit different. If you have a building that has wood rot on the outside or has a roof that is, not doing the job, that's basically how you lose buildings, as I understand it. So just as we go through here, you don't wanna overly burden historic buildings, but part of the purpose of all this is to not have blight and to not lose buildings through neglect.
Correct, and I think as we're discussing this, the premise of this, of course, is property value. How blighted conditions can also affect the value of surrounding properties and the quality of life. So I don't disagree there. But, I believe, like I said, as we move through this, you're gonna see things that may be caught that might not be under another item.
So where do you want to start?
We basically started right there. I would like to add the language of a building official, either a Putnam County building official with, our code enforcement official, and have that language in here under 1027.
Okay.
Okay? As we move through the document, if you all see something you want to address, please stop me. I'm just going to tell you from my review, going through the items that I've called out or that I have.
Okay.
Another thing, we can have language, if you go to 102.9 requirements not covered by code, at the very bottom, it talks about appropriate code official.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the language that we use, in lieu of the, because we want to share the responsibility with the county, right? They do our buildings, they do the inspection, and they have higher authority, so maybe we put appropriate code official, and that would also encompass the building official.
What number is that?
The language is in 102.9, appropriate code official, and what we're talking about is 102.7.
Okay, but I think if you say appropriate, I think that you should define what is appropriate.
Perfect.
Mhm.
I agree as well. It was just something I circled here that they use, maybe
What you think is
Who's appropriate?
appropriate and what I think is appropriate might be two different things.
yes, ma'am. So we call out our code enforcement officer and Putnam County building official.
Okay.
I have a suggestion. Instead of using the word appropriate, you could use the word applicable, and that means
Whoever's, yeah.
what is specified in the law.
Okay.
Whoever's,
If you say applicable, that means there's a law somewhere
That
applies. and
I'll
that
be
the
right back.
official has the responsibility.
Yeah, I agree.
I think he needs a pen.
So, sounds good to me.
Let's see here. I think I can.
Code compliance official.
Commissioner Ward, when you were praying, I almost said, and can we pray for rain? There's actually, I do pray for rain, there's actually clouds out there.
It's overcast, but it's-
Okay.
Not gonna hope so.
Well, Derek, in the next part of this section 103, and it says code compliance official, and then it just says the designation of official, the Crescent City Code Enforcement Department and the designated building official are hereby designated as the
Code official. Right. I saw that.
Yeah,
And I starred that as well. I mean, there's language we can copy. I just wasn't sure what you wanted to, what this group wanted to do.
because it does, I mean, in that section 102, that's highlighted in yellow.
It spells out what that is.
But we might just want to say in the designated Putnam County building official. That way we are pointing in that it's the county, because there are building officials.
Yep.
So if you put that there, then I think we can,
Designated.
throughout the code, if we refer to the building official, then it's the Putnam County building official. We don't have to change it
Yes, sir.
all the times through the code.
Yes, sir.
Mr. March, yes.
Are you okay with that, ma'am? Okay. So continuing to move forward, the next notes I had, of course, was on 105.3, if we can move on unless anybody had anything else. 105.3 is right of way, that,
Right.
a right of entry. We need to make sure that entry to the property on here, we take out the word structure and have entry to property. Not the buildings, nothing that has to do with structures. We have to rewrite that.
Yeah, so I would suggest that whole 105.3 needs to be rewritten and corrected by Don,
Okay,
for sure. I mean, because that was what Bobby was supposed to be rewriting.
Right, and my guess is that there would be an updated version of this in the proposed ordinance that was brought up for first reading. That's my guess, because Bobby asked if he could.
Rewrite that.
so the bad thing, and I've spent probably honestly, with all the spinning plates, I've spent about an hour in the computer just looking for the Word document. All I have is a PDF, so I might be able to OCR this thing, and it's gonna be a pain to get it to get all the errors out, because I'm gonna have to take it from PDF and and create a Word document
Right.
from it.
And it's like, if you go into the settings in Acrobat and you change it to from free flow, it'll
do better?
Yeah.
Will you show me?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Because the way that I do it is through Adobe, and sometimes I have to go and spend hours fixing it, because all these strike throughs and everything else is gonna send out weird looking
we can.
alien language. Okay, very good. So we will take that, I will have Dawn look at this paragraph on 105.3, we're gonna rewrite that paragraph, and we'll also give it a new heading, a new name, instead of right of entry, it'll be clear that we're not talking about a structure.
That I'd feel better with.
Okay. Moving on, under 105.7, under liability, it says the code official, and we've talked about what that is, and looking at that one chapter, member of the, and of course, we don't have a code enforcement board of appeals. I think we should maybe add language in there for magistrate or code enforcement board, if active at the time, because we have it, but we don't have it, right? It's on paper, but we don't, right,
It's
so,
still in our code that we could have a code enforcement board.
correct, and maybe it's something we have in the future. Okay, so that's okay if I change that language there?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Moving forward, going to 107, means of appeal. Again, same language in here, when it's talking about the decisions in the board, enforcement board is hereby designated. I just want to change that language to kind of match
Okay.
what we discussed just a minute ago.
Mhm.
Same with 107.3, at the very end, it says decision of board. I want to put the magistrate and or language for the board in there, whatever applies.
Okay.
Moving on, we've got 108.4, violation of penalties. Any person who shall violate provision of this code or fail to comply therewith or with any of the requirements thereof shall be prosecuted. That language probably should be changed. I'll have to get with Dawn, but I was gonna ask our code enforcement officer if she had any suggestions there. Because when you talk about prosecuted, I'm thinking of court, and we don't have, I mean, the best we can do is quasi
Yeah.
proceedings, quasi judicial proceedings. So what do you think there, Pam? Okay, thank you, ma'am.
I think it's appropriate the way it is.
No, well, we've been through this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean,
Okay,
I know for people that have not really been through it, it might be a little coming kind of quick, but we've been through it.
A lot of changes.
If I could, I don't know that this has everything it should have, because we still have, it's my understanding, you're supposed to put, instead of local municipality, your own municipality name.
where are we at?
108.3, prosecution of violation. I mean, I don't know what the language is in our current code enforcement, but, I guess, so have we stricken misdemeanor? Is that lined through? Does that mean we've taken that out?
Yes, we've taken that out and
Okay.
put code violation in its place.
Right, as determined,
And you want to take local municipality out and put the city of Crescent City?
I have no idea, but I think local municipality throughout this thing is just generic language.
Okay,
And I noticed what we added was, and the violation shall be deemed a finable offense pursuant to chapter 2, section 2.69 of the Crescent City Code ordinances. And by the way, this was written before we sent all this to Unicode.
Yeah, for codified, so you need to check.
So this is most likely not going to be the correct section.
Mhm.
I would say update for
Section number.
Unicode.
okay, we'll take a look at that and get that updated. I put Pam on the spot since we're not formal today. I put her on the spot, say, give it to me, Pam, what you got?
In 108.3, I think the misdemeanor or civil infraction should stay.
Okay, and your reason why?
Well, they, all codes are misdemeanors
Misdemeanors?
and enforceable by law.
If this body would like to stay, we can put it back. I don't know why it was struck out before, or what the conversation was before, why it was struck out, but
Wait a minute. Well, since when a misdemeanor is a criminal offense?
Right.
Misdemeanor is not civil, it's criminal.
Right.
Or is our code criminal? When you issue a code citation, are you writing them a criminal infraction?
No, I don't, but all code violations are misdemeanors and arrestable offenses.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
We've not discussed this. Since when are they arrestable offenses?
They've always been
Under what?
state law,
Florida state law.
Okay, but
interesting.
we are going in a circle here because the sheriff does not get involved in code because they only do criminal offenses.
Right.
So,
Let's
Some-
refer that to Don.
Yeah.
To get a clear answer on that, so, because yes, there's a difference between criminal and civil. And I thought the discussion that we've had recently is that the county judges are not
That's
enforced,
the issue, is that it would be expensive to bring someone in for that type of
right, because then we have to provide
hearing.
defense for them and we have to have a lawyer and all that stuff.
And they're only gonna arrest state statute laws that are on their books
Right.
that match with ours, so
So let's,
Well, you know, it says it right here in,
so I think
I
that's,
believe the old 110.4, right? Because it says section, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, 110.4 shall be deemed guilty. So 110.4, if you look down at the old one here, I mean, it kind of says failure to comply, any person who shall continue any work after having been served with a stop work order, except such work as that person is directed to perform to remove a violation or unsafe condition, shall be subject to fines established by the authority having jurisdiction. Doesn't say they go to jail, but I'm sure if somebody got a little bit rowdy, they might end up in jail for the night.
maybe so.
Can I give a brief history of code enforcement?
Is that okay with you all?
please.
Yes, thank you.
There were laws created before code enforcement. And if you had a problem with your neighbors, trash, or whatever, you called the police. And the police could go out and ask the people to correct the violation, and if they didn't, it was an arrestable offense. The courts were overwhelmed with code violations, so they implemented Chapter 162 of the Florida statutes, giving the authority to jurisdictions to hire a civil employee to enforce civil infractions. But they stayed on the books as arrestable offenses. Normally, you don't go out and arrest somebody for trash in their yard or building a shed or whatever. But it stayed on the books in the Florida statutes that these are arrestable misdemeanor offenses. They could go to court. We have the state has a citation process where you can write a citation to someone, like a traffic ticket. We don't do that here, but other jurisdictions do.
Okay.
And if you go and write a citation one day and it's not corrected, you go and write a citation another day and it's not corrected, the third time it's a mandatory court hearing. So that just a brief, scenario of code enforcement, how we've gotten to this today.
Okay, but wait a minute. In our Crescent City ordinance, does it provide that these are misdemeanors?
Yes,
In our ordinance?
I believe so, yes.
Well, I have asked for, and we have never reviewed what it is that we currently have in our ordinances. We have not reviewed that, and it would be important for us to know what is in our ordinances so that we know what the baseline is and then what we are moving to. But we have never discussed our ordinances being criminal offenses, and the sheriff has declined to get involved with them because they are not. So this is really the first time we've discussed the fact that our ordinances now for code violations are misdemeanors. We've never had that brought up. We don't operate
But
that way.
Yeah, we don't operate that way, so if we don't operate that way, then I don't think we need to have that in there. That's obviously where it came from, but if we're not doing that, we're not writing them as civil, we're writing them as civil infractions, not as a misdemeanor, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so, and we're not going to, as far as
No.
I understand, okay. So then we need to not worry about having that in the code.
So you're thinking we'll never have to use something like that ever?
I mean, it doesn't sound like we're possible, especially since it would have to go through that whole process with the county judge, which they're not doing that. That's why Palaka has that whole system now that they're setting up with a magistrate and paying for all that, so that they can do that. And they're, it's quite an expensive little process there. Because so if it goes to a county judge, which they're not seeing right now, we would have to provide them, we'd have to provide a lawyer, and if they wanted a lawyer, we'd have to pay for their lawyer, correct? Is that what? I
I think
understand,
that's what Don said.
yeah,
Yes,
and we'd also have to, we'd have to have a hearing officer, we'd have to have a magistrate. So we'd have to set all that up ourselves in order to actually prosecute these as misdemeanors and criminal offenses. And so I think really the only way that we're currently going through it is the civil process with fines. And I don't really foresee that changing anytime soon. I mean, Palaka obviously has decided to do that, but Palaka and Crescent City aren't the same.
No,
In my opinion,
no, they have different issues.
Well,
it's a different beast.
And quite frankly, I think there would be a great deal of concern if people thought that when they had a cracked driveway or something of that nature,
Go to jail.
they could get a misdemeanor.
Right.
That would be a little scary.
Now,
Now,
I think the first thing I do is take down that tree that's cracking my driveway. Anyway, I'll leave it there.
but, so, for another, where was I? Cracked driveway, misdemeanor, blah, blah. Oh, but, I have a question for Pam.
Yeah.
So, if there's a stop work order that someone, defies or whatever, because there's some stop work order language in here. Here it is, it's section 110, as long as you're here. What happens then? Are you able to call the sheriff to address a violation of a stop work order? Do you issue stop
What
work
section
orders?
is that?
This is in 110, stop work order. Says where the code official finds any work regulated by this code being performed in a manner contrary to the provisions of this code or in a dangerous or unsafe manner. Like if I was putting on a roof.
Right.
That would
That would be
definitely,
unsafe. Yeah.
yes, be very unsafe.
Without a permit.
My version of roof would be very unsafe, I'm sure. So is that an area where for people who ignore stop work orders from code officials, is that where law enforcement can come in
You could call them law enforcement?
once you have a stop work order?
Yes.
Okay.
If they refuse.
But it seems like, okay, it was already struck out, misdemeanor or civil infraction. So I think we should move on.
Yeah.
Shall be deemed guilty of a code violation.
Right.
Okay, so I think we can move on from
What section are we on?
108.3 and
108.3?
yes,
Yes.
so that's a done deal. Okay,
Okay.
and I'm not sure where
Where's our-
Mr.
We're just there.
Martin,
What's our city manager?
He likes to speak away like that.
and I know probably can't really figure out where he wants to go.
No.
No.
Needs to come back.
Yep. There.
Okay, his next is 108.4. Okay, let's just see what he's saying here. And I don't mean to fill in for him, but I know he's got an emergency. He whispered in my ear as he left, some type of emergency.
I'm glad he told you, not me.
Well, he just was in a hurry, I think. He's not trying to. But 108.4 violation penalties, any person who shall violate a provision of this code or fail to comply therewith or with any of the requirements thereof shall be prosecuted And he's got it circled, shall be prosecuted, he wants to talk to Don about that.
Because I mean,
Okay, so he wants to understand that a little bit.
Yeah.
More.
that makes sense.
Then the 108.5, abatement of violation.
Mhm.
We were on 108.4.
Yeah, that's all he had on that, you know?
I think we should leave prosecuted in there. Cause I said it goes back.
Well, he's not taking it out, but he wants to, I think he wants to understand
He needs to
what
speak
that
with the attorney,
means.
yeah.
Prosecute how?
The attorney needs to give us a,
Yeah, I mean, you know, should we put him on the wall and shoot him, or
right,
what?
because
How do we
prosecute would
See.
connote that you're going to a court.
But anyway, yeah, just so that he has a better understanding of what's expected.
Right.
So,
And what's
and then it says each day that a violation continues after due notice has been served shall be deemed a separate offense. So I'm sure all this, you know, it gets pretty complicated when you start doing this, and you know that better than anybody. It takes days and weeks and sometimes years. 108.5, I can't read his writing. Abatement of violation, the imposition of the penalties herein prescribed shall not preclude the legal officer of the jurisdiction from instituting appropriate action to restrain, correct, or abate violation, or to prevent illegal occupancy of a building, structure, or premises, or to stop an illegal act, conduct, business, or utilization of the building, structure, or premises.
It's building structure or
You
premises.
don't know what he wrote?
You said ask Don.
Okay, so those are gone. So,
It seems to me that, in a way, maybe we are reviewing this prematurely, or at least this section, because there's a lot of things he wants attorney review on.
Yeah.
So,
well, there's a lot of legal ramifications in this section.
okay,
Because like, as we move on to closing of vacant structures and all of these topics, I think are kind of legal topics.
Well, yeah, it gets kind of messy.
Which section are we on now?
Okay, we're on 109.1, it's just the code official, if you work down it says that where the code official finds any work regulated by this code being performed, he would like to see code, you know, the code official as the enforcement officer and building.
Well, I think we addressed that.
Yeah, so wait,
Okay.
About what the code official is, so I think it's,
so now where am I now?
okay, oh, Commissioner Burton?
Yes.
Could you do me a favor? Somehow, it seems like we're renumbering these sections.
Yes, we are, I'm sorry.
But section, in my version, section 110, where
Point
Which is-
stop orders, yeah.
stop work order, that actually in the heading, they didn't change 110 to 109.
That's-
They did on the individual sections, but not up above.
You're correct.
Okay, that's a good,
And- Because then the next one has been renumbered to 110, so I guess somebody needs to check the renumbering.
okay.
All right.
Okay, that's good. 109, okay, that's one, okay, 109.2, he thought that was okay, 109.3 was fine. He gets down into section, now it's the new 1110,
Right.
10.1.
Unsafe structures and equipment.
He's got nothing on there, I think he's happy with that, I don't know, are we happy with that? When structure or equipment is found by the code official to be unsafe, or when a structure is found unfit for human occupancy, or is found unlawful, such structure shall be condemned pursuant to the provisions of this code. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So I have a stupid question right now. Does, is my understanding that the Putnam County Building Department condemns buildings?
Yes,
Do you coordinate with them?
yes.
So if you believe it's unsafe, you refer it to
The building official.
the building official?
They send someone out and issue a condemned notice.
Right, I'm familiar with
And
that.
this will still allow for that because
Right, we are
we're
saying
saying that could be.
applicable
Right.
official. Okay,
Okay.
that's all I have.
110.1, unsafe structures. A unsafe structure is one that is found to be dangerous to the life, health, property, or safety of the public, or the occupants of the structure by not providing, minimum safeguards to protect or warn occupants in the event of fire, or because such structure contains unsafe equipment or is so damaged, decayed, dilapidated, structurally unsafe, or of such faulty construction or unstable foundation that partial or complete collapse is possible. Now, this is, again, we're looking at the exterior.
Right.
Now, as far as I know, some of these houses, the exterior, look at that flag. Sometimes the exterior looks good, but you get in the inside of it, it could be pretty bad. We can't go
So
inside.
we're not, yeah,
So,
Did this say elevator? No, that's the next one.
that's the next one, that's what I was gonna bring up. That
Um,
110.1.2
Yes.
is talking about the boiler, heating equipment, elevator, moving stairway, electrical wiring or device, all of these things are interior. And where I agree that they are bad, I don't know how we're gonna regulate that.
we can't regulate
Right,
that.
so
I
I
would
think-
probably take that out.
I think this whole, that section, that 110.1.2 should come out.
I'll write that down on here. Okay,
I really,
I agree.
I really need that.
Usually a dilapidated house, a lot of times doesn't even have any of those things.
Appliance, yeah, that's
So anyway.
And we're not, we're not regulating the inside of the house, so.
Okay, structure unfit for human occupancy. The structure is unfit for human occupancy wherever the code official finds that such structure is unsafe, unlawful, or because of the degree to which the structure is in disrepair or lacks maintenance, is unsanitary, vermin or rat infested, contains filth and contamination, or lacks ventilation, illumination, sanitary or heating facilities, or other essential equipment required by this code, or because the location of the structure constitutes a hazard to the occupants of the structure or to the public. So that makes sense too. I'm gonna let him go ahead and take this. That's what I just read, it was the very top.
This very top one, okay. And I apologize to this group, I have a bit of an emergency and I'm gonna ask when I do get another phone call from the mayor, if we could go to a recess for 10 minutes, I've got something that I need to take care of.
Derek, what we did discuss was, section 110.1.2, which is unsafe equipment. Talks about boiler, heating equipment, elevator, moving stairway.
Yes,
That whole section, I think we,
remove that section,
there's
yes.
consensus
You-
discussing it.
Yeah, because most of that is
Interior.
interior,
Right.
correct? Correct.
So I think that whole section come up. The two.
Unsafe structures as well, we need to be clear that we're talking about exterior.
Right.
In there as well, just to have some language in there, that's 110.1-1.
Right, yeah. So I think it's vague enough that sounds like.
It covers it.
Right.
I personally didn't have notes on the rest of that going into chapter 2. If there's anything specific that you all want to discuss on these pages in chapter 1, we can, but I didn't have any updates.
The other thing
on
that,
those items.
when you left, we were talking about violations, section 108, or actually, most of this, section 107 and 108, which is violations, we think that you need to consult with our attorney.
Yes, and I put a note on here in red
That's
to,
what- Yeah,
to talk with
and
Dawn.
so we kind of skipped over that.
Okay,
And then the next part, this is section 110, stop work order, that actually needs to be renumbered as 109.
okay,
That was missed, I know,
Okay.
the title there. Which is funny, because it goes from 109 to 1, I don't know, it does 110, okay.
yeah, used to be 110, but we'll get that
That's
changed.
what happens when you take sections out.
I'm really,
Not from writing.
I'm really praying, I'm hopeful that I can find the original document, that'll make life so much easier for staff.
I was looking at the same packets. I can't
The
find it.
blue?
Wait,
My predecessor.
which,
I'm not sure, we had that discussion
I
yesterday,
mean, really,
we're not sure why that was put in blue.
Derek, when you say original document, do you mean the
The-
last version or the very first version?
No, when I say original document, and I apologize, I'm speaking
Without
of
any
the,
highlighting?
the most current document with highlights, that's a Word version
And not a PDF.
and not a PDF.
Oh, okay.
Yes, because that just makes work a lot easier, so I'm gonna be searching for that. I might even call Mr. Red to see if if he can point me in the direction. I went into his file, I have access, I don't see it anywhere, and I might just be overlooking, and, it could be in another folder, but.
Clerk, did the clerk check on hers?
And I'll ask, but the clerk provided just a PDF.
Okay. Because I would think that there's a Word document somewhere.
There has to be.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which would make your life a lot easier. If not, we can make it work.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. We have magical ways we can fix it. Just takes a little bit more time. Yeah, just a little bit more time. So yeah, so 110.1.3 through the end of the chapter, I don't have anything to add for you all as notes per se. It's things that were already have been reviewed. So if we can move to section chapter 2 under definitions. And actually, I'm sorry, we can go past chapter 2 and go directly to chapter 3. That is going to be that beautiful blue color highlight.
That is impossible to read.
And I will do my best to read this. And I apologize if I pause. So 301-1, this is general, so general requirements under chapter 3. Scope. The provisions of this chapter shall govern minimum conditions and the responsibilities of persons for
Maintenance
of structures, equipment, and exterior property.
Which is the important part.
That's the important part, yes.
That's really what we're after. This is.
The next part says, and I can't tell.
Responsibility.
Yeah, responsibility, it says, the owner of the premise shall maintain the structure and exterior property, so you can probably see it better
In
visually, can you?
compliance, only because I've got it up, so.
I can read it, here we go.
I can.
Perfect. The owner of the premise shall maintain structure and exterior property in compliance with these requirements, except as otherwise provided for this code. A person shall not occupy as owner occupant or permit another person to occupy premises that are not in a sanitary and safe condition and that do not comply with the requirements of this chapter. Occupants of a dwelling unit, rooming unit, or housekeeping unit are responsible for keeping it in a clean, sanitary, and safe condition that part of the dwelling unit, rooming unit, housekeeping unit, or premise they occupy and control. 301.3, vacant structures and land. Vacant structures and premises thereof are or vacant land shall be maintained in a clean, safe, secure, and sanitary condition, as provided herein so as not to cause a blighting problem or adversely affect the public health or safety. Moving on under section 302, exterior property areas, 302.1, sanitation. Exterior property and premises shall be maintained in a clean, safe, and sanitary condition. The occupant shall keep that part of the exterior property that such occupant occupies or controls in a clean and sanitary condition. To me, that's kind of redundant of what was already provided before that. Thank you very much. I'll have to mess with him next time I talk to him and ask him what that was all about.
Well, the blue, you said
The blue,
the blue section, it said in this memo that was not covered.
it was skipped over, right. I'm messing, I'm saying the color,
It's very dark, yeah. And then if it's scanned, which is what happened,
then it made it
they
even
printed it
darker.
out and then scanned it, which is
Yes,
ridiculous.
bad practice. That's all right, we'll fix it.
It's practically redacting it, but
Is there any changes, or do you want to reduce some of the redundancies there?
I don't think we need to rewrite the whole thing.
No, I think.
I mean, it is
Just
redundant.
leave it, just leave
A
it.
lot of code is redundant.
It is.
So we don't need to go into it.
All right, so then moving forward, I'm going to section 305. I believe the entire section of 305, which is interior structure, needs to be taken out and removed from this.
Just 304 is exterior,
Correct.
and then it gets to.
Yep, and 304 or 305, all of it, every section has to do with interior.
Yeah, interior structure,
So
yeah.
I'm asking to just
Yeah.
remove that.
I agree.
Perfect.
Everyone else in the agreement?
Yes, sure.
Great.
Then we get to 307, talking about handrails and guardrails. These can be exterior. I think we just need to take out, it says 307.1, general every exterior, and then it says and interior. I think we just take out interior.
Yes,
Is that okay?
I agree.
Should we move this to a different section or combine it, maybe adding stairs to this? Because there are provisions for stairs in another section. Should we combine it or leave it?
Okay, my concern here is this. We are already apparently working with a superseded version of the International Minimum Maintenance Standards because there's a committee that updates it. And it's my understanding from looking on the web that there's already a new 2000 and
Like a 2000?
There's a 24 version.
Right, okay.
Possibly. So I guess, I mean, the whole idea is that we were going to use the International Minimum Maintenance Standards. And I'm assuming when they update it, that they use this same structure.
Right.
That whatever they do that's new, if you keep their structure, then you can
Easier to,
find where it goes. You can correlate
Yeah.
the changes to, your version.
Correct.
yeah, so we don't want to be moving it all around.
If we
Okay.
do that too much,
Okay, so then we leave it in place and just take out
Take
anything that has to do with interior.
Right, on that.
Okay.
Handrail, guardrail part, take that. yeah,
Perfect.
the Interior part out.
Okay,
Because it's also talking about landings, balconies, porch, deck, or ramp, which
Right.
are all exterior.
exterior,
So
okay.
let's leave it, and leave it right where it is, because we don't want to be.
So then that takes us to chapter 4. I've got nothing else in front of me as
Wait.
notes. Yes, ma'am.
I do. Okay, I think that if you go back to, all the way to the first page of chapter 3, 302 weeds. I think that there is a later version of this, that speaks to our semi-rural, situation in Crescent City. Do you mind, can I go back and check, please, to see the later versions? Because I think that we made some changes to, the landscaping part and find what we did. So I remember us having a discussion and Bobby Pickens weighing in.
And, as we know, this is still a workshop,
Yeah,
so
Right.
sure.
let's
So
make a note of that, and we can move on, and
Yeah.
Is there
I think-
something I need to research, or are you gonna look into that?
I'll go look for it.
Okay, just let me know what you find and we'll bring it to the next one.
Okay,
it's
and
quite possible that we're gonna find the actual Word file that's gonna be changed.
I would love to find the word file.
Yeah, so just make a note there for
Okay,
Commissioner DeVito to bring, see if she can find that. So you're on now chapter 4, is what you said?
yes, so chapter 4
Is all
through
about-
chapter 7,
is all
I'm asking to
interior,
remove it, is all
right, light,
exterior
ventilation,
provision, or interior provisions.
occupation, bathrooms, cooking facility, yeah, all of those.
Yes, all of it. There's a lot of blue, so we don't have to read that. Thank you, Don.
so just say again what we're taking out, 4 through 7?
4, 5, and 6, and 7. Because 7, it has to do with fire regulation, and I think
Yeah.
what we should do is, even in the reference standards for that, they talk about the National Fire Protection Association. I think what we should do is just change the title. Let me get to it real quick. I had notes on here. And just have chapter 7, and under general, we can, it says right here, the provisions of this chapter shall govern the minimum conditions and standards for fire safety related to structures and exterior premises, including fire safety facilities and equipment to be provided. And I think we should just have language in there that says that compliance must be with Florida Building Code, Florida Fire Code, and NFPA guidelines. That's it.
It leaves responsibility though as well,
And
because the responsibility says it's the owner of the premises shall provide and maintain such fire safety facilities. I think so add
can we
that
leave
part,
that responsibility to
and
add?
leave the 7.01.2, and then dump the rest.
That's what
That makes sense.
you concur.
Right?
Yeah, like.
I mean,
You like that?
we don't like, yeah, and that would make it less confusing and probably less conflicts. And also, I know, NFPA changes quite often.
Yeah, and that's just a guideline.
It gets updated quite a bit.
Correct.
And Florida Building Code and Florida Fire Code.
And so that takes us to the very end, we wouldn't change the reference standards. It goes to appendix A under boarding standard. And that's the last bit of it. I didn't have any notes in there either. International was taken out to put Florida for Florida building code instead of, international building code.
And so what is what is appendix A here? Sorry,
I'm sorry?
what is appendix A about here?
Appendix A is boarding standard, so windows and doors shall be boarded in an approved manner to prevent entry by unauthorized persons and shall be painted to correspond to the color of the existing structure. That's an exterior
Oh,
thing,
yeah.
so,
There's a big discussion about that in the minutes, when I looked at between Mr. Rito and Mr. Burton also,
okay.
talking about boarding up, and then, coloring, or.
The
painting
boarding
it to make it
sheets
look,
can't just be plywood put up on windows.
Why
Now-
is this an appendix?
I don't know why. It's
I just-
appendix A, I'm not sure. Now, let me ask a question though. If that's the case, we have a hurricane coming. Are
Well,
we,
that's temporary.
it is
Temporary
temporary.
boarding is not something that.
Okay, so this is
a little different.
long-term permanent.
In the hurricanes, A, you're lucky to get plywood, B, you're lucky to get all your plywood out. And C, I don't think we usually go around enforcing our code when we're getting
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
No, we're too busy,
Trying to stay alive.
That's right.
So, yeah, it doesn't really matter that that's painted this color.
Honestly, those are the only notes that I had going through this and the main provisions. I just wanted to make sure that any of the public that's listening, understands that from a staff standpoint, of course, we're looking at this for value of property, making sure that we have, control on the blight and that we have uniformity. So we're, of course,
And also about health and safety.
and health and safety, and the quality of life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And
So,
I sent you a text message, I believe, earlier about the city of Weston. They had they put into place minimum maintenance standards. And one of the things that they did was there was a whole webpage that they set up that was explaining to people what it was all about. And I think that was something that we did not do last time. And we kind of lost the public relations battle on that because of some of our, our reactivity instead of proactivity. And so I would really like to see that done with some, FAQs. What does this mean, or how is this gonna change? Are you gonna be coming to my house? And that kind of, those questions, so we can write out, just answer those, and hopefully not have what happened last time.
Right.
Right, would you not agree, commissioners?
yes, but there's another area to consider that we did have some discussion on. Even when you're just dealing with the exterior. And I know that I really think we need to coordinate this with hopefully historic preservation ordinance, BJ. But some of these things, like for example, where is that, 304.2, protective treatment, peeling, flaking, and chip paint shall be eliminated, surfaces repainted. Some of these items, while they are important, have a really significant cost. And we talked about that when we considered the last ordinance. I looked at the minutes and it reminded me, the mayor mentioned the SHIP program, which is people. Unfortunately, the need is so great, the SHIP program does not even begin to address what people need. That everybody who would have a financial need is not even remotely going to be covered by SHIP. And some people here no longer have insurance. And we discussed that you can't qualify for SHIP if you don't have property insurance. So we discussed grandfathering or, stepping, I guess. Phasing things in. We discussed maybe initially applying it to commercial property. We discussed the problem with applying it to homestead property. Because some of these things to take a wood building and particularly a historic building, and I can think of a few, to really remedy the peeling, flaking paint, I would love to see that done, but I'm pretty sure there are people who would not be able to do that within a year. And I would hate to see the value of someone's building eaten away by recurring fines.
And you brought up the point of cost. It's very expensive too, depending on how old the paint is that needs to be remediated, because it could have lead in it, and that's a whole nother ball of wax. So,
I'm just saying somehow, I think Commissioner Gloria is very correct that explanations need to be made, and particularly the fact that we're not looking at the interior, but to really make sure people understand that there's a cost to this, and for us to understand, how can we make sure that we're properly addressing light and the deteriorating buildings without putting someone out of their building, or, we've seen it in the fines that accrue, you can eat up the value of a structure
yes,
with fines. So
We
we
also,
did
I don't know
have
what
a,
the answer is, but it's a problem.
we did have a discussion with a representative that came in. We had a meeting on Monday about our CRA program. We had a good amount of people here. I was very happy with the turnout. It was about the same as the first time, so we doubled. And we had some larger companies, if you will, that are looking at some of the properties. But I say that to say that we had a representative from St. Johns County that is a SHIP representative. I can let you discuss that a little
His name
bit.
is Bill Lazar, he's with the St. John's Housing Partnership. And I don't know if any of y'all have ever heard of him, but they do some wonderful things for St. John's County, some nonprofits, and they have, like helping people, organizing programs to help people paint their homes and with, local realtors and businesses, and, he's got some great ideas that I'm
The
gonna
big-
try to help the community around here with.
The biggest takeaway that we took from that meeting is that there's, and we'll get into this as we set our calendars and get into our budget, but the amazing thing was that there's an opportunity to match dollars to the city on our housing portion of our CRA. So if we can get the community to have buy-in and come in, that's the biggest part. We can't force this on people, but if we can get the community the information they need and we can put the right amount of dollars in our budget, there's an opportunity that they can match those dollars for the housing redevelopment portion of our CRA. And maybe one year we do have a huge workshop. We really try to get people in and we say, look, this year, commercial projects, we're not gonna touch that too much. We're gonna do some things on the streets and have that in our budget, but housing, we have an opportunity to do that.
And
That would really
I was
help.
working in the housing department and
Yeah.
the SHIP in St. John's, and I know how the money can go.
Yeah.
We had a $70,000 budget, and we could easily
gone,
spend that
yeah.
on.
Yeah, quickly.
house,
St. John's
you know.
County.
So we're definitely gonna look at those options.
But
We know we have a need and we'll,
Yeah, and I like that you guys are trying and thinking new things. I just would like to say, going forward, I think we need to have really great proactivity here, and let's lay this all out before the questions start flying around. In fact, I got an email last night from a citizen concerned that this is, 1984, and we're gonna, just
take over.
yeah. And
I think we should
she
get it.
doesn't live in the city, but
I think anybody that reads or watches any of this later can see that we're very much about making uniformity on the exterior. So on the visual aspect of what we have is uniform, it's clean, it's safe. The interior, we are not touching.
Right.
We've removed all of that. We can be very clear that we're not dealing with the interior of any of the structures or any of the properties.
And so my suggestion is that once we get a final copy of this done, before we adopt it, we need to put it on a webpage with some FAQs, with information. This is what it is, this is not what it's not, this is why we're doing this. And
Okay.
here's the stuff. And we need to do that like a month before we adopt it. So that there's plenty of time, we're not sneaking it through, we're not ramming it down anyone's throats. I mean, obviously, we've been talking about this since 2022, it's not like
Correct.
we're in a hurry, but,
Okay. I can definitely put a FAQ together, and I think we can do a page within our site, and we can get that out to the public, and we can put links on our Facebook and everywhere else, on next hour, all of it, we'll get it out there.
we don't wanna appear like we're trying to hide anything, we're not passing anything in the dark.
Yes, sir.
We are sharing all this information, and we hope it's for the good of the city and for the residents of the city. We're not trying to, impose any harsh guidelines on anyone. And to Commissioner DeVito's points, I believe once we get the word out there, once we have these conversations, and once we have it in place, we can see where there's opportunity, where there's problems come up. And we can really see what, how do we know that maybe people are more willing to paint their house and fix their chipped paint than we realize.
Sure.
When we have some problems coming up, then maybe we can address those and see those and deal with those people instead of just not making decisions because we're afraid of what's gonna happen.
Right.
I think we're doing this for a reason. We've always discussed this.
Right, but Commissioner Roy, I'm just telling you, based on what we've paid for our house and what I see around town, if the danger in enacting a code is, then that's your code. You have to apply it. And what I see around town and what we've seen in our applications for CRA grants, it's tens of thousands of dollars. And I think we can safely assume that there are a significant number of people in town, in residences, who do not have $35,000 lying around to address those code issues all at one time. And my concern is we need to see what the problems are before we pass it, because after we pass it, we don't, unless we have some kind of phasing program or whatever, we don't really have the ability to waive,
Well,
I think we gotta start thinking about going for the low hanging fruit. The low hanging fruit is where we should start.
Absolutely, but that's what we think, but at a future date.
We have to stop thinking that no one has any money, okay? People have money, Lisa, people have money. It's just how you spend your money. And so I just think we should go, maybe I shouldn't think about it. We ought to just go for the low hanging fruit first and just do that. Okay, and then go from there and see what we get. A lot of times people just pick up the garbage in their lawns, the garbage in the streets, wherever that garbage is, it makes them feel better about their house. And the next thing you know, they fix the fence. And the next thing you know, okay, and it just kind of continues that way. They've got to get feeling good about their surrounding areas. I mean, we just got done over here on Eucalyptus Street, and thank God I guess they sold their house or they're at least moving. But I started calling this, somebody said, well, where do I take this to the dump? I said, just bring it over to Eucalyptus Street. There's the dump right there. Now, this was just a joke, but it was a dump, okay? And I can't believe the amount of stuff they've taken out over the last few weeks. But these things should not be allowed to happen.
Right, so you're talking about the hoarding and
Well, whatever,
yards,
you know, the
on the
cars,
exterior.
the cars that are parked on our lane, our property, okay, at 10-foot, okay,
right away.
yeah, right away, they should not be parked there, okay, period. They just should not be parked there. They should be parked in their driveway, but their driveway is too full of stuff,
Got it.
okay, so they can't use their driveway.
That is definitely a low hanging fruit.
Yes.
I think we need to be very careful about putting someone out of house and home, and
Well, I don't think
hope,
we will do that.
I hope that people will come and speak to that and let us know, and how this will affect them. And certainly, one thing that was intimidating about the prior version of the ordinance was the huge bulk of the language, the pages, were the interior sections.
Right.
So if they are gone, I think that it will be easier for people to read and understand.
It makes
They
it
are
more
gone. Right.
Yeah.
So,
And I like Vice Mayor,
or-
I always want to say, I'm sorry.
Vice Mayor
Glory, Vice Mayor Glory. Okay, I like his idea to get this thing out and take a few months to introduce people to some of the problems that we have. So maybe they can go out and take a look at what we're trying to talk about
and see how we go.
and see what we're trying to do,
And I really think sometimes people feel like we're trying to rush things, and I just don't like that, because we're not. I mean, obviously, we've been working on this since 2022. We took a little break for 3 years, but we're back. And we're not trying to hide anything. We need input. If people have some, recommendations, that's what workshops are for. That's what public meetings are for. That's the reason we want to put it out there and let everybody know what's going on way before it comes up for a vote. So
But, and could I just follow up on
Sure.
that, Commissioner Lori? You make a good point. We do need input and input, hopefully that's specific.
Mhm.
And even if people cannot come to a workshop,
Email,
they can email.
yes.
So that would be very helpful.
The city manager gets emails, we all get emails, we all have email addresses, so please let us know. I'm speaking to the owl and everyone else.
I'll make these changes and I'll route them to everybody as well. I'm gonna try to find that digital
Yes.
Word file. If I don't, I'll OCR this and
We'll recreate it.
spend a little bit of time making it right.
I'll show you a better way to do it.
Good. And then, at the same time, once we do that, I'll start creating some FAQs on this.
Yeah.
And I would like to get with you to make sure that the structure of it is proper. And any questions, if you all have anything specific from your review of this that you want to get out to the public clarity wise, I'd be glad to take any emails and add them to the FAQs. Okay?
Yeah, and FAQs are funny, you just kind of ask the people in the office, like, what is this, you know?
Yeah.
What do you think people are gonna ask? And
Regular requests.
we can probably help you on that too, once it comes, because we know what was said last time. So, and especially Commissioner Burton, the mayor and Commissioner DeVito
Hey,
knows what was said.
you know, I know that we've got some areas that needs more attention than others, of course. But the uniformity is important and the safety and health and the aesthetics of our city is super important, so we can attract more people and families coming in here. One question I had for Pam, in reading this, how would it affect the home that's been sitting in a state of construction since I've been here? I
You
mean,
mean since I've been
on Main Street since you probably moved here. It's been years. How will this allow the city to move that process forward?
He has an active building permit on that property.
Okay,
Until he has an expired permit, there's not anything that I can do.
If the structure is unsafe,
Okay,
Yeah,
well, wait a minute.
to me, I don't know.
Okay,
It's-
I have a question about
Please.
this. So I asked about this several months ago.
I asked about it several years ago.
I asked about it a year ago when I got here.
Right, so, and the answer is always he has an active building permit. So that permit came from the county, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, but wait a minute. When you get a building permit, are you allowed to wait until the very last day before you even drive one nail?
Mhm.
Okay, and so there's nothing that we as a city can do about that? Is that a county, under a county ordinance or rule?
What is the length of a building permit? Is it 2 years from issuance, or is it a year?
I'm sorry,
How long is a building permit, is it good
I
for?
believe it's yearly.
180 days, 6 months.
Oh, okay, so 6 months.
Okay, so so is he entitled to keep reviewing his building
That's up to
permit?
the building department, but yes, yes.
Okay, I guess what I would like to figure out here is there anything that we can do as a city? Do we need to request the county to do something, whether it's administrative, like?
I'm at that point now.
Okay, what I'm saying is, this is a situation, to me, that should not be allowed to go on. And I think we need to ask Dawn and ask the county building department, why is this continuing? And is there anything that we can do either to ask the building department
Right.
in this instance,
Mhm.
or to ask the county to change, or is there anything we can change? Because I think I can safely say that we don't want to see a situation like this
So you,
repeat itself, and we want to do something about that.
I agree, and the issues I have is, number one, I don't see a permit box up there.
Mhm.
It doesn't look like a construction site, and it's very unsafe. You have kids that can go in there, it's not secure at all, it's wide open. And so I'm gonna make the phone calls, it's something I definitely want to deal with.
I would like to see the opportunity for this, number one, this one be brought under control, and secondly, to see what we can do to eliminate the possibility that this can occur again, because it's, obviously, it's very unsightly.
Yes.
And,
It's the biggest blight on that road, I mean,
yes, it's
in my
very bad,
opinion.
it's very bad.
Pam, did you have something to add
Yes, ma'am.
or explain to us? about building permits?
We had a code enforcement lien on the property and the commission rescinded the lien.
I thought that was the property
And then-
next to it.
No.
It was that building
Yes.
and the, okay,
That was so he could apply for CRA funds to help restore his building.
And we haven't received one application from him.
I don't believe so.
Well, we haven't. I know so.
Okay.
We haven't received anything from him at all. I'm gonna contact the county. That's something we're discussing and working on. I know it's an issue.
I mean, the building permits and building, that's under our purview as far as home rule, but we contract with the county, collect to it. They write permits, they collect fees, they keep the fees. We don't have any of that. But I mean, we should still be able to, I would think, dictate rules.
I'm gonna find out from Don
Yeah.
and I'll be in touch with Leo at the county to find out what we can and can't do.
And whether we have an interlocal agreement that spells that out or what. It would be, I would just like to know how that actually operates.
It's something, it's different if you start seeing interior walls being,
Right,
But,
there's
you see
nothing
a
to change to that property.
there's nothing that's happened at all.
That's why I say, can he,
Nobody's been there. It's just a perpetuity.
we know.
Usually you get a building permit renewed if you make substantial progress, is my understanding. When I've usually seen building permits, you don't just automatically get renewed when you ask for one. You have to be making substantial progress or have a reason or some sort of explanation or plan for something. And to me, that place has not changed as long as I can remember. That I've lived here for 14 years in that house down the street, so. That's,
I checked on the permit on that property, routinely to see if it expires.
right,
And it hasn't in a long time. The building department suspended expiring permits during COVID.
Right.
And I don't believe they reinstated that.
Mhm.
I'm not sure.
oh, yeah.
But I don't, have a whole lot to do with that.
Yeah, because I mean, most people, when they get a
But I
permit,
do check on it.
they do the work immediately and it's done, and it gets signed off and you're done. I mean, this dragging it out and waiting, just, and so let's see what
Okay.
Derek finds out from the
I
county.
will. I will.
It just, it seems.
It's on my chopping block. It's one of the things that I have on my written list of things to do, so I'm glad that this kind of brought it up because it has to do with exterior, and the look of the neighborhood. Thank you very much.
And I recall when we waived those fees, law enforcement lien, I did not know that was for that building.
I thought it was for the property next door,
I did too.
for the,
I was under that impression. You're given that impression, I think. Or do you recall?
I
It was-
do
it was
not recall,
It was
but
just in the last year, right? Because Commissioner Moore was here, right?
I don't
And
remember.
I felt like it was the room, like the property next to it, not that building, because I was kind of surprised that we would release that.
I can't imagine.
But I mean, I remember the guy came, he was here, wasn't
Excuse me?
he? He came in person, the owner?
Yes, he did. Mr.
Yeah,
Moore came in,
yeah,
yes.
that's what I thought. That's,
Morris, I think is his last name, Morris.
okay.
all right.
So moving on, that's, the one that sent it to me, but, the other item on our agenda. Wait a minute, scrolling, come on,
It's the non-resident property owner registration.
correct.
In your packet, I believe you have compliance sections for Broward County
Yes.
and the permits. I'm not sure how we would want to structure this to also would be
Actually,
ordinance for that, yes,
I
ma'am.
can speak to it.
Yes.
Okay,
I can speak to it and I will be brief and I have a memo to hand out to everyone. Unfortunately, my stapler is not working. So it's 2 pages and they're not stapled. This is for the file for the work.
Thank you.
And also, I made one for city attorney who's not here. So, thank you so much. I'll put that aside. Well, hold on, Mr. City Manager, I will have a copy for you, who should I give the city attorney's copy to, or just,
I'll scan mine in and email it to them.
okay, I'll put, city manager, want to make sure everybody gets one. Okay, so here's city manager, city attorney. Here it is, and Commissioner Lori, I apologize, I did not, send us an electronic
Thank you.
form.
No, this one was actually,
Let's make sure.
so you give me one that's not stapled, is better.
Okay, here's one for Commissioner Lori, and, wait, Pam, do you want one?
No, I was gonna,
Oh, thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you.
I need my steps, but I'll let you do the honors. We need two more, and then I'll have one for the mayor. I guess just put hers at her desk. If you would, thank you so much.
that was the mayor.
Yes.
So basically, Commissioner Lloyd used the word that really describes all this, which is being proactive.
Mhm.
And I brought this up because what registration of properties is really a supplemental way to address code issues that are very common with abandoned, vacant, foreclosed properties and rental properties that are not properly maintained. And typically, the worst problem that municipalities and counties have with rental properties are non-resident owned, like where the owner doesn't live on the premises or doesn't live in the same town. And I can think of one on my street, and I apologize, there's one paragraph where there's a range that says cost, it should be 5,000 to 10,000. I tried to handwrite that in. So what I put in your packet is not any one ordinance that I am suggesting that we adopt, because these counties and cities are not Crescent City, but they are examples of how these ordinances work. And they really came about, as far as I understand it, in 2008 with the mortgage foreclosure crisis.
Yes.
I was living in Tampa at the time, and cities, counties, the whole state, all of a sudden, houses and buildings were foreclosed, and you had a lot of code issues. And then also since 2008, both because of our population growth and the cost of it, we have more rentals than we used to. And investors are adopting those rentals. So basically, the ordinances are just to look at. I was torn between focusing on minimum maintenance standards and going through the ordinances to pull out everything that I like. But essentially, if a property is foreclosed on, it's vacant. I can think of one right now that I didn't want to put addresses in the agenda packet or pictures. I didn't want to embarrass anybody. But a good example, there's one on Pine Street on the corner of Pine and Lemon. It's a foreclosed property. The people have moved out. It's being vandalized. And what these ordinances generally do, the owner has to register the property. Say if you're a bank-owned property,
Right.
you have to register. The city, it's an educational tool. The city makes you sign, hopefully to say you're aware of what the code requirements are. And then part of the registration is to give our code officer the direct information. Who do you contact about this property? Who is responsible for this property? And we have all been through this, I think even since Commissioner Moore's been here. Typically, when somebody comes asking for a large lien reduction to the commission, a lot of times it's a non-resident owner who tells us they didn't get the notice or whatever. So the purpose is to make it more efficient, so that you have whoever you want to include, whether it's abandoned, foreclosed, vacant, non-resident rentals, they sign up with the city. You tell them what their responsibilities are, they sign that they know them, and they are required to keep on file who to contact and who is responsible for proper maintenance. That's about as far as I've gotten.
So, like in the instance of TD Bank, which we had quite a problem, we're contacting them to get them to clean up.
Right.
Correct?
Right.
And then you have the
We-
TD Bank property, TD Bank property on 350 North Summit, or whatever it is right there. Remember when it got all overgrown and we had problems because they were in Colorado.
And we've been able to they have a manager now for the property, we're able to get it cleaned up pretty quickly, we've gotten it cleaned up for the parades and things, but yes,
So
that
that
was
whole
an
process
issue.
of going through that, it would probably,
It would have been a lot faster had we had the information, which brings up something I wanna bring here, and I know we can't decide here, but we are discussing it. The eucalyptus property, the one that has been messed up, they are, in the process of selling that property, which is why, most recently, they just found out, apparently they didn't know that we had, was it $16,000?
It's about that now.
$16,000, and are they the owner of the property, or are they renters?
They own it.
So they own, so at some point, we're gonna have to make a decision what we're gonna do, for a possible lien reduction or
Well,
not.
we need to wait until we see if it's sold.
Right, correct.
Okay.
The company
You have
is,
something to gun if you want us to decide that now.
not today, we can't do that today.
No,
but
but anytime before it's sold, we can't do it.
Okay,
well, then, the whole point of having a lien is that the new, it would pass to the new owner, so that's
would you all wanna have a special meeting on that or wait till the 14th? Because they're wanting to close ASAP with a company
Have they come
called
to us?
Figure and
they
Company.
come to us with a lien reduction.
They would have to come to that
Yes,
meeting.
and that's fine, you should come then.
Should we, on the 14th, or should we do it on a special meeting before then?
I don't see why we need to be,
Rush to it?
yeah, we have certain procedures for a reason.
Okay.
They can fill out the paperwork and then we can
They're
try
saying,
and schedule.
that owner saying they can't move until they close. So they want assurance, and of course, but we need assurances that it's gonna be cleaned up.
I mean,
they
they
can
moved
fill out
to
the
Oregon, so, if they moved to Oregon and they haven't taken care of business.
Right.
We're probably gonna be stuck with it.
Right, so I mean, they, we have rules for a reason.
Yeah.
Let them come to the process, and they can plead their case, and then we can decide what we want to do
So I'll
from there.
have them come
I
to
mean,
the
you're
May
talking,
14th meeting then?
we're talking about something that we don't even know the details of.
Okay.
So, I don't think we need to have a special meeting just for that. Have a
Okay,
special meeting for every time someone comes and fills out a form, that would
okay.
be ridiculous.
I think for just, time's sake, I think what Lisa DeVito was talking about as far as getting some of this put in place, I think it's a very good idea.
Okay.
Now, I'm not sure how many rentals we actually have here in Crescent City. I do know that the vacancy rate in Crescent City is very, very high with just empty houses. And those empty houses, a lot of them, they're just kept in very, very rough
Poor conditions, yeah.
and so, I think we probably should come up with some numbers, okay, which ones are rented? And get them set up in a program like this. And then the ones that are just vacated, we need to start talking to those owners and saying, okay, what can we do with this house or whatever, that you vacated? We have that big house, on Eucalyptus, right next door to the dump, that nice house in the corner right there. Now I know they're from Michigan, but they're never there. So the house just remains empty all the time. And it's like, what are we saving this for? But some questions have to be asked.
Right, sure. My biggest question is, how would we find out what properties would apply? If we decide that it's
Exactly.
for non-resident rentals, how would we get that information?
I mean,
Because I think that would
honestly,
be-
you have to go door to door. I know there are some nonprofits that that will help out with those types of surveys, but you'd have to take a survey. You're not gonna know
Okay.
without some sort of survey.
You call the owner.
You can call the owner if you can get the number.
Right, because property records don't have numbers.
They have addresses.
Right.
I think we're going at this the opposite way. The number one thing to do is to maybe call a couple of jurisdictions that have this
Right.
and ask them which comes first, the chicken or the egg.
Sure.
I think the chicken comes first in that you enact it, you say what it is, and then it's their obligation to contact the city, like you can send a notice out that you're adopting this ordinance. But it helps you, it's an affirmative step that you can take that helps you get people to come to you.
Right.
Right.
So-
Most people are not gonna come, especially if it might involve
Well, and,
money.
okay, and that's the other thing.
Especially
To me,
for town.
The two things that are most important for Crescent City, the whole purpose of this is that proactive work and to make things easier. So for example, Palm Coast property registration for years was $5 annually. If one person owns multiple properties, you could just let them register once and just boom, make a list. And as little paperwork as possible. We're not Miami, we're not Broward. We
We don't
need
need a
to
whole
keep it
staff person doing this.
right, we need to keep it very, very simple. So I have put this out for us to review at our leisure, for staff to review, and I don't know if our code officer is going to a convention anytime soon or has any colleagues, but it would probably be helpful to find somebody like in Palm Coast and say, for somebody just starting out, do you have recommendations?
Yeah, I agree.
So,
we
but
definitely need
bank
some more
owned
research.
properties have been, they're a mess. And
Yeah.
there's an investor owned property up the street, on my street, that, well, it's a problem sometimes. So that's what we got, and I made a list. There's 4 different ordinances in your packet.
Okay.
One for Broward, one for Miami, there's a form from Broward, and then two from Palm Coast. One for rentals and one for vacant properties.
Okay, and I do know that, well, part of this, in Florida, of course, we're short-term rentals,
Oh, it doesn't even touch that.
right, because we have to be careful about that too, because of the
Right.
rules that have been
Doesn't-
promulgated by the legislature and all that.
Right.
But I think that we can all take this home and think about it a little bit. He's gonna go take the phone call, so
Oh.
if anybody has anything else, I think that this is, we're gonna adjourn the workshop and then give about 10-minute break, we'll come back to the special meeting.
Sounds good.
Okay, so.
Do we need to take a vote?
It's not a workshop, right?
No,
All right,
it's adjourned here.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Welcome. And BJ, are these yours or mine?
Ten minute break, everyone. Hopefully he'll be done by then.
BJ, do you want to be unhooked
Um,
and then rehooked?
yeah,